Simone says, for the footer, can I just call the display contact function and append it to the footer, although the header already displays the same contact, the same contact information? Yes, you'll probably need a slightly different function just because you're, well, or it could be this. It depends on how you define it. But if you write something that adds the information in the same way just to a different div, then sure, give that a shot. Reuse your code. That's great. It is true that it's just repeating the same information, but that's just to sort of remind you at the end, oh, by the way, here I am. Now that you've finished looking at my resume, here's my contact information again. Thanks a lot. So comment really from Simone, who says, believe it or not, I actually really like the colors on the resume as it is. Would you recommend that I change it anyway? No, if you love it, you don't have to. Thank you for saying that you like it. We'll have to pass that on to the designers. So don't feel like you have to change it. But maybe for practice, you might do it. With data.other function declaration, I'll switch back over. Do you still need the var other function statement, or is it okay? Is the data period other function equal function statement sufficient? Do you need var in that?
So when you're adding a function to an existing object, so in this case we have data, which is our object, and then we added this function called other function to data down here. And we went through that. You actually don't need var in this case because all we're doing is adding something to something that exists. And because data had already existed, we're just adding to it and not creating a new function or a new variable or anything like that. And because of that, you actually don't need to use var.
So she's asking, in project 2, do we have to put all the info, that is name, role, education, image, in through resumebuilder.js file? Does that mean that we do not do any inline text in the HTML file? So the HTML file is, I don't think you have to inline anything in the HTML file. Everything that you work on is on the JavaScript file. I think it's best practice to sort of just do all your processing and rendering the data within JavaScript functions, and then calling those functions within your HTML file. Yeah.
Everything, all the information about your resume, your all the bio information, everything goes into your resumebuilder.js file. Michelle Price says, how do you make a resume interactive when they usually contain static data?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. In our instance, we're actually adding the sort of interactive component with the map. So it's going to be either a map of where you either worked or gone to school, and it'll be very similar to like a Google map or any sort of map you see online. That'll sort of be the interactive element that we're requiring. But just sort of in general, I mean, you could take a look at search for resumes online of web developers, or go to any sort of web developer website, and their resume is usually on there. And there's some interactive elements. Sometimes it's just as simple as like the menu, the navigation menu bar, like moving in a certain way, or disappearing as you scroll down the page, or it could be as like as crazy as something like parts of the resume come flying into the page, or there's a background photo and the background photo changes as you like scroll through the resume and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of really interesting and creative ones out there. And there's really no limit what you can do. It's kind of like being an art student. You're limited by how much you're willing to put into the project.
I found a line of JavaScript code online that I want to use. Can I copy it and use it as long as I understand it and can fully explain it? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that's 90% of what a lot of web developers do. I think is they go online, they read code, they reuse code. Gosh, I don't know where I would be if I didn't have the internet.
Yeah, I would still be stuck trying to learn CSS right now. I'm like, how do I, flesh out a box? Like, I need to look up the book. I'm like, no, it's like a lot of people. It's one good thing about web development. Everything is open. Like you can look at you find a cool site, or you found something really cool, little cool function. You just open up your code and see what did they do.
Yeah.
Now it's like as long as you attribute that code, making sure that okay, I found just comment it or I found this little code here, this little snippet. This is what it is. Like people will usually be fine with that.
Yeah, that's what I usually do too. Is when I find a piece of code online and I'm like, oh, this pretty much does what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I don't modify it too much. I always leave a little comment and I put the URL in the comment.
Exactly.
And, cite the person just like you would if you were writing an essay, right?
Yeah.
You mark it, you put it in the footer. And that way, if I'm like going back and looking through my code and I'm looking at like, how did I figure this out? Where did I get this from? It gives me a chance to go back and look at, oh yeah, that's right, this person did this. And on top of that, it also kind of gets me to kind of look at the other things that maybe that person has done too. And it sort of opens my eyes to some other ways of solving some different problems I may not have thought about. So it's a great way, I mean, looking for ways that people have done certain things online is a great way to learn. An easy way to do this, I mean, is just to go to any website, and if you see something that is really fascinating, like I said, maybe there's like some moving part, and you're like, whoa, how did they do that? You can usually, go look at the dev tools, look at the source code for the page, and kind of figure out what they did there, and try to mimic that on your site. And it's a really fun learning experience doing that. The one thing I will say though is, if you do use something, make sure it's stylistically good, like it fits into the style guide that we're providing.